All right, we got the Georgia Football Clinic here. We got Coach Austin Crisp, offense coordinator at Ringgold, talking about fast screens, RSO. We done got past RPO, RSO, fast screens, fast screen Fox. Coach, you guys did a great job this year. Thanks for joining me, and looking forward to hearing what you got to say, man.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for all you do for coaches, and not only Georgia but the whole country. I can honestly say, if it wasn't for you and listening to your head coach academy, I would have taken a job 2 years ago. That would have probably put me in a bad situation. So I want to say thank you on behalf of every coach that's ever listened to you or your podcast or used any of your resources. So
I appreciate
sincerely,
it,
I
Coach.
appreciate that.
I, I get a lot of people message me and thank for getting them a job. You don't get very many thank you for not getting a job, but but you're very wise to recognize that because so many people do make that mistake. You're looking for the right fit for you, and that's as important as getting the first thing you can get to. So,
Sure.
um, but Coach, you done a good job, man. I'm looking forward to this, so I'm gonna let you have at it.
All right. So yeah, we're going to talk about fast screen. One of the things is um, that we'll talk about is everybody has their acronyms, their fast screen or their RSO, RPO. We break our all of our stuff down by buckets. So we have a run, no option bucket, and that's when I call counter, we're running counter. If I call inside zone, outside zone, that's what we're running. There's no option to it. We're handing the football off. And then we have our run screen option, RSO. Got to have an acronym to it if you're a football coach, right? Um,
That's right.
but that's just our run screen option. So we're either gonna run it or we're gonna throw a screen off of it. Then of course, just like everybody else, we've got our RPO run pass option, and we have our run option. That's just our double option stuff. Um, but one thing we're talking about is reading the six man, the true conflict player to the box. We name him just the six man. We don't call him anything else. That way, it's easy for our quarterbacks to identify. Um, on the top right, we've got counter to the left and fast screen to both sides. We've to the counter side, we've got our access throw, just our pre snap. If you like it, take it. We don't really use that a whole lot, but we have. But the way we count it is we have our three down linemen. We count the first man inside the box to the backside. So three, this linebacker will be number four. This linebacker's five. This linebacker's six. That's our read key for six. So there's a 3-4. If we're in a 3-3 stack, or if we see somebody that's in a 3-3 stack, we count the same way. This is our front side. So if this guy walks up, we have a front side access throw to it. We count our three down linemen, four, five, and then six. So that's our read key. And then if we have our even front, which is mostly what we've seen, or at least I've got film on right now. Of course, we can't block that backside defensive end, so that's our read key. So our quarterbacks know if we see an even front, we run counter with a fast screen attachment. The end is our read key. If we do want to read the six man, what we'll do is we'll just call G fold or something else. I'm going to try to get directly into the film now for it. So the first scenario right here, it's a four-man front. So we're going to read the end man line of scrimmage. There's a lot of people that do this. You know, it's nothing revolutionary we're doing, but we sincerely believe in it. So that's kind of the surface we're seeing right there. I'm going to try to toggle back and go to our rules on fast screen. So our rules on fast screen, our number one receiver, we want to show fast hands and fast feet. I always talk about over exaggerated movements. We always want to see over exaggerated movements. So we use our hands and we tell our receivers, and our receivers coach does a really good job of critiquing these guys and getting on them about this. Is we want to say our hands got to be cheek to hip. So as we show that we're coming off the ball, we want to see that hand come up by our face and drop back down by our hip like we're trying to explode off the ball. We want to have good feet drive, and we want to be almost like a high knees movement. Um, we're going to move as fast as we possibly can to make that DB's, in this case, the corner's hips open. If we feel like we can open that corner's hips, then we've got to play. The number one receiver is supposed to drive at least 1.5 yards past the line of scrimmage and drive back within one step. So hopefully, by the time that he drives and he sticks that toe on the ground at 1.5 yards, when he hops back to the line of scrimmage, that ball should be in his face. The number two receiver, and it could be the number three too if we're in trips, but mainly at a 2x2. So the number two receiver is, they hear this term so much, fast hands, or I'm sorry, flat and fast. So these guys are going to get flat to the line of scrimmage right now as fast as they can, blocking the most dangerous man. We're not really picky on if their inside foot is up or not, but if their inside foot is up, they're to open their hip, run flat, and replace the 1.5 yards in front of that receiver. While they're doing that, we have a lot of good drills during practice that we're identifying that flat defender, whether it's a corner, whether it's that outside linebacker, no matter who, we got to identify that guy. So they're going to drive hard, open that hip, drive with their inside foot, and identify as they're running the flat defender. Quarterback rules are that's a turn a double play. And for me, I have to use baseball terminology because it seems like every quarterback I've had has been a middle infielder or a pitcher. So I got to use those terminologies. So we tell our guys, turn a double play. So if I call fast screen, there's no read to it, we're turning that double play. If it's an RSO, then we talked about, we're reading the 6-man. But one thing is that numbers trump all. So if they're 2/2, the fast screen side, we're going to forget the fake or forget the mesh point, and we're going to throw it right now. And that's either side. That's the back side or the pre-snap front side call. And then for all my rules that I give our kids, I want to rule myself just to make it easier as a play caller. So my rule is for fast screen is throw the fast when the fast doesn't work. The majority reason is because we want to make those defensive linemen and those linebackers run. Most defensive line play offensive line plays defensive line, definitely in our classification. But if you ask an offensive lineman or defensive lineman, what's your worst, what do you hate about practice the most? They'll tell you, I hate to run sprints. So I want to make those guys run sprints in a football game if they hate doing it at practice. So again, we'll get back to the film part of it. So right here, it's our 6-man is the in-man line of scrimmage. We run counter. We believe in counter. We love counter. So the defensive end squeezes. We're going to flip it out here, turn a double play. Mechanics are not very good with a quarterback, but sometimes your mechanics on turn double play isn't very good either. But we can snap it out there and get about 6.5, 7 yards. Ideally, I do give my quarterbacks a lot of freedom. If they want to take the pre-snap read up top, they can. I'm glad he didn't take this because that outside linebacker's in his face right now. So good job on the quarterback on that part. Next film, same thing. It's a 4-man front. We are reading the in-man line of scrimmage. One thing I have noticed about a lot of, and Daresville did a fantastic job of this, is to take kind of the fast screen away, they would walk their linebacker almost into 50. So our only answer to that is to run G-fold or something where we can read that wheel linebacker, which at that point becomes our 6th man. That's the only thing we have in our pocket to kind of handle that when it comes to the RSO stuff. So right here, defensive end, he's cocked. I can tell you right now, pre-snap decision, quarterback probably could have just snapped it out there and thrown it without having to read it. That's a bad job coaching the quarterback on my part, but he's cocked, he's coming, he's squeezing, he's going to run that counter down. So quarterback does a good job of snapping it out here. With the corner and the outside linebacker, or really the safety right here, we call him the rover. With them giving cushion, I'm not necessarily worried about them getting flat and fast right now. Let's go to the number one guy. So the number one guy is the corner. We end up getting 4 yards right there. I would like to see his eyes get inside to identify that safety he's running right now. He should have snapped his head off right now and taken the outside linebacker, putting us one-on-one with the corner. I do want to show some things that our guys don't do well, just to show you. Of course, it doesn't always work like you want it to. So this is a little bit different scenario. It's still an RSO part of our game. We're still reading a guy. The 6th man is now actually the overhang, the guy that's that kind of the apex player between the end man line of scrimmage and the number 3 receiver. We identified this guy pretty quick as the quarterback player. So you can tell he's not really playing the mesh point when we play it. He's playing the pull on the quarterback. Quarterback does a really good job of identifying the sixth man is inside leverage of the fast screen. So let's take it right now. He gets rid of the fake, or he pulls out of the mesh pretty quick and snaps it out there. Now this it's a really good Rockmart football team, and we get a first down off a first down, so we can't ask for much more than that. Forward. There we go. So this is similar situation. They're in a kind of like a pulled 3-3 look, and it's really a 3-5. They're just pulling their linebackers. So right here, he's not really he's kind of in between. So quarterback could have identified this guy as the sixth man. That's okay if he does. Uh-oh. Okay. So he identifies that pretty quick and throws it out there. Now here he's inside leverage at number 3. So we feel like we've got leverage and numbers on that. So he does a good job of pulling it and throwing it right now. One of my good buddies, it's funny, one of my good buddies is he's an offensive coordinator, and he's a wing T guy. And he, after watching, I think he came and watched this game, which is the first round playoffs last year, he said, man, y'all run fast screen like we run belly. I'll take that as a compliment. Same thing right here. So now the sixth man, because he's the quarterback player, because we did pull it on these guys a couple times, since he's the quarterback player, he doesn't count in our number system. So we go 3 down linemen, there's 4, there's 5, and here's 6. So there's our 6-man read. Well, he's not looking at the box. Quarterback does a really good job this game of identifying that, and we're going to hand it off and run counter. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. Right here, same situation. We're he's inside leverage or head inside. So he's head inside. He's considered a box player. He identifies that, snaps it out there, and I would have liked to seen both of these guys, the number 2 and number 3 receiver. I'd like to see them identify the hook curl player and the flat player quicker, because they are one high safety. So we should have picked the outside linebacker and the kind of the apex player up more so than the corner, but we ended up making a decent play out of it. This is a little bit different situation. So we are still reading the 6-man because we only have 5 offensive linemen that can block, which happens to be the defensive end. But I'd ask the quarterback. I always ask quarterback questions, even though he did it right. I want to know his process of thinking. So I asked him right here. I was like, "Why would that ball come out so quick? There's no way you read him." And he said, "Well, because they're 3/4 to our side. I'm taking the numbers," which he answered correctly. So right there, it shows that we're 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's going to snap it out there and turn a double play right now. This is a little bit different for us. It's still an RSO. However, now we're in 11 personnel. We're going to be running fast screen up here, but we're running quarterback counter. So this is something we have to prepare for because it's not something we normally do. However, we're just simply running quarterback counter back to the trip side. Back is going to cross face, make sure he picks up any type of overhang that's coming off the edge, and we're running counter this way. But again, he makes a good decision and says, well, they're 2/2. We're going to expect our dude to beat their dude if we can. So he's getting the mesh cross face. Counter's going away from it, and he snaps it out there. Now, he could have went either way with this and been correct, but I can't be mad at him when he says the right thing of the words numbers and 2/2 or 3/3. So he does a good job right there. So now we're getting into away from our RSO stuff, and this is where we're just calling the fast screen. Like we've called it. We're gonna throw it. The last 2 years, the last 3 years actually, in 2020 and 2021, we threw it I think 366 times, and we completed it like 340 times. So this is a high percentage throw for us. And again, it's getting these defensive linemen and linebackers to run horizontally, making them tired so we can run vertically at them.
Coach, what would make you call it as opposed to reading it? Just you not want the quarterback to even have that option? Is that the
Yeah,
reason you do it?
just to take a little bit off of him because I do tend to put more on the quarterbacks than I should probably. But sometimes I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not really a good reason other than I want to make this defensive line run. And I will say that people have gotten really good at hurting our counter. So when we attach counter to it, um, people have gotten where they squeeze scrape on the backside of it, which kind of
Yeah.
hurts our fast screen stuff. So
Yeah.
this just makes it look like traditional uh, high hat by the offensive lineman. So they're thinking
Gotcha.
seeing pass and they're going to bail
Yeah.
in their coverage.
Gotcha.
Um, but here we're 3 over 3. We like those numbers. We're going to expect one of our guys to beat their guys. Our number 88 down here, our Y, he does a fantastic job of identifying who the closest flat defender is. Um, I would have liked to have seen the number 2 receiver pick up the the, the second linebacker out there, but it's hard to tell when things are happening so fast. So as long as they're picking up and we're getting 2 over 2 or 2 over 3, leaving one guy on block to make a play, then we like those numbers. This is another thing. We're jab. We call it jab protect or bob protect up front. So we're being aggressive bob protection and we're snapping that thing out there. This is after a 15-yard gain. The chains are not set yet. I love calling a fast screen after a big gain because mainly DBs are not set. At least people are close to the box to stop a run. DBs are never set anytime we bust something big. So we want to get on the ball as fast as possible and snap a fast screen out there is what we did. As you can tell, they really and truly right now, because of how they're aligned, they're 1 over 3. And this was a really good football team who could run. This was Hart County. They done a really good job, but they're not set yet. So we're going to snap it out there as quick as possible and let's get what we get. We end up getting 9, 8, 7, 8, 9 yards, whatever it is, but that's after a big play. Same thing right here. We're just picking a side. So anytime we're 2 by 2, I just let the quarterback decide unless I'm telling him left or right. And it's funny. I mean, people have asked me, how do you declare what side you want to throw it to? And I say, well, I yell at the quarterback and say left or right. I mean,
Right.
We're not going to make it too complicated for him. 2 by 2, he knows to work the boundary first. This is one of our third or fourth quarterbacks at this point. So he's going to snap it out there to the boundary and let's get what we can get. To me, if we get 4 yards out there, I like 4 yards out there better than I do 4 yards in the box because we are making those guys run a little bit that don't like to run. It may not be the right order of thinking, but it's kind of what we think and what we believe in with it. So now we're in empty, doing the same exact thing. We mirror it to both sides. He should have taken it. The quarterback's wrong right here. He should have went up top to the trips because they're 3 over 3, but he's 2 over 2 down here. I'd rather go to the trip side every time if we're balanced. And he got his rear end ripped after this play. So that's pretty much all of our fast screen stuff. I do want to note that right here. So we're putting. I love it, which I don't know why I don't have it on here, but I love putting the formation to the boundary. I love putting trips to the boundary, trips
Yep.
with H back, trips with live. I love putting the formation to the boundary, and this is one of those. We put everything to the boundary, and we're not calling anything but fast, and we're throwing it out there and getting what we can get. To me, it's making a defensive coordinator have to think: does he want to protect the field or protect the formation? Same thing. We're in empty. Throw it out there. I would really like to see this slot get flatter, but when I asked him about it, he said, "Well, coach, he's bailed off." So he's not wrong. We still would like to see him get a little bit flatter instead of attacking the mesh point right or attacking the inside hip right there. But when kids use the correct terminology, it's hard to say you're wrong.
That's right.
Another time, fast screen the boundary. This is one of those where we just made a big play and defense is not getting quite lined up, and we're going to snap it out there and get what we can get. 88, our Y does a really good job of picking who the most dangerous man is. even though he's a little slow to get there, he's going to the correct guy. He's just not quite fast enough to get there yet. So I think that's about all the fast screen stuff. The last thing is our fast fox, and this is my pride and joy, something I really enjoy. So our fast fox is built off of our fast screen, of course. We're still going to have the same exact thing. Number one receiver is going to show fast hands, fast feet, over exaggerated his movements, cheek to hip with his hands, really oversell like he's trying to drive off the ball. Except now he's going to drop back and jump. That's going to mimic an overthrown ball or something to get that corner to trigger just a little bit harder. Number two receiver, or the number three if we're in trips, they're going to run just like on the same exact path, except as soon as he identifies the corner, trigger, or if he's not triggering, he's going to try to run off his inside hip to gain leverage to get vertical right now. I tell these guys all the time, you're welcome to break out of that quicker if you see the corner jump right now. If he jumps right now, then we can climb to the top of the numbers. We don't have to get to the bottom of numbers. We're going to climb right now. And that's kind of our last part. Let's see. Here we go. Now we work our fast fox and our fast screen every day. There's a fast period. We call it fast period, where we're working just our fast screen and our slots are identifying the number one threat, the most dangerous man, the flat defender, whether it's the outside linebacker to trap corner, depending on what coverage it is, of course. Now with this, our vertical game, we consider this one of our vertical game threats, of course. The quarterback is going to identify one in everything, whether it's a run or a pass. He's going to identify as an open or closed coverage. Open coverage is the middle of the field is wide open, means it's too high. Closed coverage is there's one high, the middle field's closed. So that changes where our ball is going to be. This scenario, it's open coverage, so we know that depending on what the corner does, our area to put the football is right there off our fast fox. So the slot does a great job of running at that corner's inside hip pocket, really selling that thing. Our receiver down here jumps. Receiver up top doesn't, but we put the ball in the hole. This is something that we work every single day, whether we plan on throwing it a lot in a game or not, is working this ball into that hole, because that's a hard ball to throw. But
yeah, it is a hard ball to throw.
It is. I think for our guys, it is a little bit easier because this is something we believe in and we sell out to it. So we work it every single day. I mean, whether it's in summer, most of the time, if we're doing a Thursday walkthrough, I take 5 minutes of pre-practice and we're working the quarterbacks in this hole right here. He could have went this. We tell these guys mainly we want on fast fox, we want them to work the boundary first. We've tagged it up here just because we see that the safeties are playing relation to two instead of relation to a landmark on the field. That was one of the things that we're looking at on a Sunday. So this is a different situation where we're telling the quarterback, I want you to work the field first. It's just more room over there. Right here, same thing. We're 2 by 2. He's going to get flat and fast right now to run at that inside hip pocket. And I'll be honest with you, he makes a great ball and a great catch right here. This is not coaching. This is guys, pretty good football players being good football players. Yep. But it is, I mean, I definitely say it's because we work this every single day. Same thing right here. Now, this is picture perfect. This is how we want it to look. Both outside receivers are showing fast hands, fast feet. They both jump at the same time. Boom, perfect. Makes that safety up top drive down, or the outside linebacker drive down, and it leaves us wide open. It's amazing if you can get these kids to realize when you do it right, man, it works a lot of the times. But we're talking about 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, right, of course. Same thing right here. We've come off of 3 big plays, 2 of which were called back. One was from a fast screen. So 2 plays before this, we run a fast screen to number one right here. It gets called back for a holding call. That was a touchdown. Then we put our number one, our best player. We put him at the number one slot. Next play, we run gel string to him. So this corner's he's nosy right now. We come right back to it with Fast Fox, and of course we overthrow it a little bit, but that kind of shows you that people really, really want to honor those our fast screens just because we throw them so much. It's not because we're spectacular at them, but we've identified who we are and we want to throw that thing out there. I'm not. This was a. I do want to show you this. So this is a broken pass protection. Um, we tell him all the time to work the boundary. Always work the boundary first. So when he works the boundary first, he should have went there right now. He does not do that because if he does, he could get rid of that ball right now. And there is nobody around 488 up there that's trying to get his touchdown. That's something we need to work on. But because of how we're running flat and fast right now, it's getting those guys to trigger pretty well at it. So this is another scenario where we're putting a ball in a hole. So we're throwing the fast screen up here. We're in the middle of the field. Most likely, I'm telling him which side to look to. But corner triggers hard, so that's where we've got to put that ball in a hole. But that's okay because we've worked it 1.5 million times. And this was a this was a middle infielder, so it's not like he was a quarterback prodigy or anything. Now, this is one of the scenarios. This is where it's almost perfect to how he actually reads everything. So we've got Fast Fox called to both sides. He checks the boundary first. Perfect. Checks it first. They've capped it. So the cap player now is the corner. The corner's playing over the top. The corner does a good job down here playing over the top. So we have our check down. Throw it out there. It turns into a hitch. So just because we called Fast Fox doesn't mean we have to throw it. It's our number one read, which really just turns into smash when you look at it.
Right.
Similar situation to here. We lurk the boundary first. He sees the player's capped. He should have flipped his hips and looked back up to the field. But we don't. But it ends up still not being a negative play because he does throw it out there and at least give our guy a chance. But this was a good scenario. This is actually the play that made us start running the fast screen drill or the Fast Fox drill where we're working that ball in a hole. And all we do in practice is we have our number two receiver. We don't even have a number one receiver at this point. We have a number two receiver. We've got a corner that's standing there. And then we have a safety, and he's to open his hip and try to cap it. And we're just working a hole. This is the play that made us start working that drill because I saw, why is he not throwing it? He should have put that ball in the hole right there. Boom. But instead, he takes off running, trying to be Tim Tebow. But that's something we learned, and we learned it quick that, we're asking these guys to do something, but we're putting them in bad situations because we're not helping them out with drills or anything. So that was this was the play that made us start running that drill, and it actually made us better from it. Here's just, more different scenarios of us running it. This was another good, you could say, clinic tape of it. We are fast hands, fast feet up top. Both outside receivers are jumping, hopping, trying to draw those corners, draw that rock down safety in so we can run right by him. This was the scenario. This was an incomplete ball, but it shows that, one, we've got to get better at teaching this kid. They've capped it, so we need to throw it to the number one right now and let him have a chance. Just more scenarios of where we're putting the ball in a hole. right here we do. I thought the number ones did a really good job of selling it and getting back. They know that the corner's triggering hard, so we want to make that window bigger.
Right.
And that's it. I tried to you said
Uh,
30 minutes. I
that
try
was
to put it
perfect.
in. I try to put it in
That
as
was
quick as
perfect. Yeah.
possible.
I'll
Um,
tell you what I liked about it was you had some stuff in that wasn't perfect, which I think sometimes we accidentally, and I've done it too. You put this stuff on here that looks really good for you,
mhm,
but maybe it helps somebody to some degree. You need a few of those, but
mhm.
then you need to show some stuff that guys can see that's realistic too. I appreciate that. The screen game's a big part of it, man. Just to run now, kids like it, get more people involved. I'm a
Mhm.
fan, so
Now we've got
appreciate.
a lot of basketball players to come out and play football because I try to tell them, listen, we're playing basketball on the football field. If we can snap it to you real quick and you get me 3 or 4 yards and fall down, we're happy.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
create space.
Well, I appreciate you, Coach. I hope you guys have a good off season, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Have a Merry Christmas.
You too.